Amazing twist, struggling nurse donates blood, discovering the incredible CEO single dad he saves. Lily had always believed that her heart could stretch to fit her world. As a nurse in a small, underfunded hospital in the Midwest, she lived every day in the delicate balance of exhaustion and purpose. The hospital echoed with the whispers of desperation, struggling families, frail bodies, and a staff that ran on little more than caffeine and compassion. But that evening, something felt heavier than usual, and urgency reverberated through the hallways. The blood bank was nearly empty, and lives hung in the balance. As she checked on her patients, Lily's mind drifted to her mother, struggling with her chronic illness, the weight of endless medical bills pressing down on them like an anchor. Pushing down her own fears about finances and fatigue, she told herself she could handle one more night shift. But the stark reality sank in. What good was she if she couldn't heal? And now, the shortage of blood was a cruel twist she had never anticipated. The idea of being powerless churned her stomach. Just moments before, she had been an unfaltering support. Now, frustration gnawed at her spirit. Then and there she decided. She would donate blood that night. Miracles could happen, right? Watching the clock tick, her heart raced with both conviction and uncertainty. Was she being selfish for putting her own needs first? Shouldn't she prioritize her own mother's care, her own life? But then a reality loomed larger: the urgency, the possibility of saving someone else's mother, child, or partner. This was the call to her American spirit, the embodiment of resilience. "I have to do this," she whispered to a reflection in the hospital mirror. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Lily climbed into the donation chair, her heart thudding against her ribcage, face heavy, anxiety crashing like waves in her chest. The nurse beside her smiled encouragingly, but Lily couldn't shake off her internal whirlwind. What if something went wrong? What if she didn't have enough energy to care for her mother later? Sinking deeper into the chair, she closed her eyes and pictured her patients' faces that told stories of struggle. That thought anchored her as the needle pierced her skin and the fluid flowed into the bag. She pictured it saving a life. Yet as her breaths quickened, darker thoughts crept in. What if she failed? What if, in trying to help someone else, she neglected her own family? The contrast of giving versus caring for her own started to blur in sharp relief, creating a dizzying spiral of doubt. The mere act of donation seemed trivial against her own ticking clock, her mother's health deteriorating while she lay there. But just as her anxiety reached its peak, the nurse announced that they were finishing up. Relief washed over Lily as she left, but tension coiled tighter in her chest. What did this mean for her life? The uncertainty hung in the air, heavy like fog. There was no telling how this act would change something infinite and unspoken. Little did she know, the blood she had selflessly given would bridge worlds she had never dreamed existed, shaping futures and hearts in ways that threatened everything she thought she knew. A CEO, a devoted father, and a resolute journey awaited her. But as she stepped out of the hospital, Lily felt the walls of her life inch closer, smothering the hope that had once filled her veins. Would her decision end up unraveling everything she held dear? The anticipation of what was to come hung in the air, a question lingering in the realm of possibility. How could she prepare for the collision of ambition and heart? As Lily stepped into the dimly lit parking lot, the cold air hit her, pulling her from the reverie of her thoughts. The stars shimmered above, indifferent to her swirling doubts. Each breath felt heavy. It was as if she was exhaling the remnants of her courage, the act of compassion feeling more like a cliff dive than the altruistic leap she had envisioned. She felt unmoored, drifting through her life while grappling with the weight of the donation, each drop of blood a thread spinning into an unknown narrative. The potential ripple effects of her action nagged at her. The mere notion that she had inadvertently intertwined her fate with a stranger's life was both exhilarating and terrifying. What kind of person would she become? Driving home, she replayed the faces of her patients, their struggles echoing within her mind. Lily's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, searching for clarity in the reflection. What would they think of her? Was she abandoning them by choosing to give blood, doing what she could but potentially exhausting her resources? She knew the answer danced with ethereal grace just beyond reach. Arriving home, she found her mother asleep on the couch, a thin blanket draped over her frail body. A bittersweet smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. This was her anchor, her reason. Yet, worry pooled in her stomach, a familiar and unwelcome sensation. She was committed to her job, to helping others, but here lay the heart of her world, vulnerable and reliant on her. That night, sleep eluded her. Questions transformed into heavy clouds, anchoring her in the dim glow of her bedside lamp. What did success look like for her? How far could one act of goodwill reach? Drifting through the past week's challenges, she confessed to herself her yearning for something beyond what her current reality offered, a thirst for knowledge, a thirst for more than just survival. By morning, the resolve to grasp at whatever lay ahead began to crystallize. The donation had been an act of faith in humanity, but it also illuminated an opening, a doorway to a realm where she might discover her true potential and shape her path with intention. She could not remain just a nurse. She needed to start understanding the tether of her ambitions and the reality of her dreams. As she walked into the hospital, each step resonated with a sense of power she hadn't felt before. The whispers of her doubts still lurked but began to feel like distant echoes rather than persistent companions. She had saved a life, and in doing so, she had ignited a fire within herself. With determination anchoring her, she approached a board on the wall listing upcoming workshops on advanced nursing practices and business management options for healthcare professionals. Caught between the tempting ideas of growth and the looming exhaustion of her current life, she hesitated for just a moment. It was time to confront the perilous dance of ambition and duty. She was terrified of what it would demand of her, yet the realm of possibility flickered like a candle flame in her chest. In the depths of her heart, the whisper began to transform into a growing roar. How could she harness this potential, this newfound courage? As Lily pondered the desires boiling up from within, the sudden ding of her phone broke her reverie. A text notification lit the screen, an unknown number. "Thank you for your donation. You saved my life." The message hung in the air, a revelation that rippled through her veins like the blood she had offered. Would this single act of compassion open doors she never imagined? As uncertainty entwined with excitement, Lily felt the tug of destiny shifting beneath her feet, ready to pull her into an unknown future where her potential for better or worse would be fully realized. What else awaited her in this new chapter? As the morning light streamed through the tall windows of the hospital, it illuminated the sterile environment in a way that felt both familiar and foreign to Lily. The scent of antiseptic lingered in the air, mingling with the distant sounds of medical equipment and muted conversations. Yet today, everything felt tinged with promise, a beacon illuminating the path ahead. Her heart raced, the message from the stranger still echoing in her mind. "You saved my life." The weight of those words was intoxicating, redirecting her focus from the mundanity of her daily routine to a broader horizon filled with possibilities. She had always been a caretaker, one who put others before herself. But now, a new fervor ignited her spirit, a desire to not only save lives but to transform her understanding of what that truly entailed. Lily's gaze swept over the workshop listings once more. There were sessions dedicated to leadership skills for nurses, advanced clinical practices, and even proposals for healthcare entrepreneurship. Each title struck a chord in her heart, reverberating with the burgeoning ambition she had finally unearthed. The challenge was clear. She needed to extract herself from the shadows of self-doubt and seize the opportunities laid before her. As she navigated the hospital corridors, she grappled with the emerging narrative of her professional development. The pressure she felt both externally from the expectations of her role and internally from her yearning to achieve more was palpable. Yet, within that tension lay a powerful realization: she was more than just a nurse. She was a force for change, capable of influencing not just her patients' lives but also her own trajectory. When the first break arrived, she found herself seated at the nurse's station, her colleagues chatting and processing the morning's workload. The sound of laughter and camaraderie enveloped her like a warm blanket, yet it also sparked an inner conflict. Could she share her ambitions without being viewed as self-serving or distant from the team that had been her support system? "Hey Lily, have you heard about the new workshop series?" Maria asked, her blue scrubs contrasting brightly with the gray walls. "I was just looking over them," Lily murmured, intrigued by a sense of belonging mixed with trepidation. "Thinking about diving into a leadership program." Just, not sure if it's the right time. Maria raised an eyebrow. Why not? You're always giving so much to others. It's okay to invest in yourself too. Lily swallowed hard, the simple validity of Maria's words igniting both gratitude and irritability within her. Could it really be that simple? Would her colleagues understand if she chose to prioritize her growth? Would they view the changes she sought as a departure from her commitment to patient care, or as the very foundation of it? She made a decision, then a commitment to speak up, to confront the fear fueling her hesitations. Lily envisioned herself standing before her peers, sharing her intentions with clarity and confidence. It was high time she acknowledged the duality of care. To give effectively to others, she also needed to nurture the care she offered herself that evening. After her shift, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Lily sat at her kitchen table with her mother. The evening ritual offered her a peaceful backdrop to reflect on her commitments. Sharing her thoughts nearly felt self-indulgent, yet she knew her mother's insights would ground her. "Mom," Lily began tentatively, "I want to take a leap. I'm considering some workshops to advance my skills, maybe even push for a leadership role." Her mother's eyes brightened. "Why not? If it makes you happy, I'll support you. Just remember, it doesn't change who you are." The simple affirmation swelled in Lily's chest, but a knot still lingered. What would it mean to climb the professional ladder? Would it alter her relationships with those who relied on her? Determined to take the first step towards transformation, she signed up for the leadership program that very night. The exhilaration coursed through her veins like adrenaline. She would no longer be just a participant in her life but the architect of her destiny. With anticipation framing her every thought, she glanced at her phone, where the message still lingered. As her fingers hovered over the reply button, the question formed: how did her small act of kindness weave into a larger narrative of ambition and growth? What were the implications of her newfound resolve? The screen illuminated her face as she began to type. "I want to know more about you. How has your life changed since the donation?" The reply she would receive next held the potential to not just connect their fates but to challenge everything she thought she knew about success and herself. The soft buzz of her phone jolted Lily from the depths of her thoughts. As she reached for it, her heart raced with anticipation. Perhaps a reply waited that could elucidate the wider impact of her actions. Yet, what she discovered was unexpected: a response from the stranger she had sought to connect with. "I'm glad to hear from you. The donation changed everything. I was at rock bottom, lost my job, and was struggling to support my son. Your help gave me a second chance." Lily felt a rush of empathy wash over her. His words painted a vivid picture of desperation and revival, connecting their lives in a way that transcended the sterile walls of the hospital. This man was not merely a patient, he was a father, a worker, a fellow human navigating the complexities of life. It occurred to her that her professional aspiration could merge with this poignant narrative of resilience. "Would you be open to meeting?" She typed back, her pulse quickening at the thought of stepping into an unfamiliar but intriguing territory. A sense of responsibility stirred within her, urging her to understand the profound impact her role could have, not just on individuals but on the stories that surround them. Even as she pressed send, doubt crept in. What if their paths aligned too closely? Would a connection with him elicit deeper questions about her own choices? But she pushed the thoughts aside. If she was serious about her growth, her leap into leadership, she needed to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, including the messy realities that came with it. The next shift at the hospital was punctuated with the energy of her decision. Each encounter with a patient took on new meaning. Lily listened intently, her heart open to their narratives and the unspoken hardships they endured. She was no longer merely fulfilling the duties of a nurse, she was part of a compelling tapestry of lives. As the day unfolded, however, the familiar anxieties started to bubble beneath the surface. Could she balance the demands of her burgeoning aspirations while being present for her patients? The leadership program loomed like a specter, promising growth but also demanding commitment. Each time she thought of the workshops, a knot of uncertainty tightened in her stomach. How much time could she truly allocate? During a hectic afternoon, amidst the chaos of discharges and admittance, Maria caught her eye. "You okay? You seem a little out of it today," she asked, her brow furrowed with concern. Lily hesitated. Just a lot of pressure thinking about these workshops, Maria. And trying to balance everything, it feels overwhelming. Remember, you don't have to do it all at once, Maria reassured her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Take small steps, like you always tell our patients. They don't fix everything in one visit, right? Lily smiled, the advice resonating within her. One step at a time, she needed that mantra to dissolve the looming doubts. She could kickstart her aspirations gradually, intertwining compassion for her patients with her ambitions. That evening, again enveloped in the embrace of her kitchen, she scribbled down a plan. Small milestones: attend the first workshop, schedule a meetup with the gentleman from the donation, initiate a conversation with her peers about her aspirations. As she plotted out each step, clarity started to sculpt her ambitions into something tangible. Later, the reply to her initial message buzzed in again. They had arranged to meet the following week. Feeling the satisfaction of actionable progress knit together with impending anticipation, Lily settled deeper into her chair, the warm light of the kitchen illuminating a burgeoning path. Yet, beneath her measured optimism, restless questions surfaced. What truths awaited her in their meeting? Would his life story reignite the flickering passion within her, or would it unravel the burgeoning sense of purpose she had begun to cultivate? The excitement became slightly tarnished with uncertainty, setting the stage for an encounter laden with the possibility of challenge. As she prepared for the days ahead, she realized she stood at the precipice of significant change. The next chapter of her life awaited. Could she transform it into something far beyond her original intentions? With resolve, she planned to face whatever came next head-on. Lily awoke the next morning with an urgency to reshape her day. Her meeting with the gentleman loomed, infusing her routine with a tangible electricity. She worked through her shift, each interaction with patients thick with the weight of her evolving sense of purpose. Their stories fueled her determination to step out of her comfort zone. She was not just there to heal bodies, but perhaps, in some small way, to restore hope. But as excitement thrummed beneath her skin, so did uncertainty. Each time she glanced at the clock, she felt a pinch of anxiety. Was she ready for this? Meeting someone who had grappled with such profound hardships struck her as both a chance for enlightenment and a plunge into discomfort. Those doubts nudged her as she prepped medications and engaged patients in conversation about their lives. I heard you're meeting someone. Is it a date? Teased Maria during a brief lull in the busy shift. The playful look in her eyes pricked at Lily's nerves. Not exactly, Lily replied, her cheeks warming. I just want to understand the effects of my work on people's lives. It's important, you know? Maria's expression shifted into one of insight, as if she had finally gleaned the depth of Lily's intention. That's admirable. But you've got to remember, sometimes you can't control what you find either. Unease swirled within her. Was she prepared for possible revelations? She had always sought to maintain a boundary between her personal ambitions and her professional responsibilities. Yet, during a quiet moment, a thought drifted through her mind. What would happen if that boundary blurred? As the evening blended into night, those worries coalesced into a decision: she needed support to navigate this unpredictability. She reached out to her mentor, a seasoned nurse with a wealth of experience. If she was to embark on this journey, she would benefit from learned perspectives. Can we meet later this week? She texted, her heart skimming with both eagerness and trepidation. The idea of mentorship seemed promising. It represented a stepping stone toward her ambitions while ensuring she had a safety net. But her mentor's response, though confirming the meeting, left a lingering worry. Relying on others, it read, does not diminish your capabilities, Lily. Use every resource: your desires, your experiences, your connections. What if leaning into this support exposed vulnerability she wasn't prepared to confront? In the days leading to her encounter with the man from the donation, every patient and colleague became both a mirror and a canvas. As she examined her motivations, insights unfurled within, her desire to lead, the longing to make genuine connections, and the fear of the repercussions those connections might bear. Each interaction was a prompt for self-reflection. On the day of her meeting, as she donned her favorite blouse and adjusted her hair, a profound nervousness gripped her. She stepped into the cafe where they arranged to meet, a space saturated with the aroma of brewed coffee and the hum of hushed conversations. Every element, the wooden tables, the soft lighting, felt exaggerated beneath her apprehensive gaze. When her eyes met his, all her carefully crafted anticipations fractured. He bore a weight of experience that eclipsed expectations, his eyes glimmering with a resilience that drew her in. This was no random encounter, it felt like the meeting of two souls tethered by struggle and hope. "Thank you for meeting with me," he began, his voice steady. "I want to share what your generosity did for my life. It's incredible how a single action can alter a path." As Lily listened, the gravity of his words washed over her like a tidal wave. He spoke with details that revealed the nuances of his journey, the sleepless nights, the decisions that led him to the brink, and how, through his vulnerability, he learned to advocate for others just as she yearned to do. In that exchange of stories, something profound began to shift within her. She realized that this meeting wasn't merely about understanding her impact on others, but about discovering the threads of her own journey woven into the fabric of his. Each revelation seemed to unravel the tensions she once held about her aspirations. Yet, amidst the warmth of connection, a sharp realization pierced through her emerging clarity: this dialogue was a crossroads. The man's narrative threatened to unearth her deepest fears and aspirations alike. She had sought connection for the sake of growth, but now she was confronted with the challenge of actively shaping that growth. As they conversed, Lily felt her resolve crystallizing. She was no longer just a witness to transformation, she was poised to step into her own narrative of leadership, conviction, and resilience. But just as she grasped this new chapter, uncertainty loomed over her. Could she fully embrace this newfound identity without losing herself? Outside, the world carried on, oblivious to her inner turbulence. The meeting offered a fresh perspective, one that demanded her to confront discomfort. What if the connection uncovered aspects of herself she wasn't ready to face? With a breath laden with possibility, Lily braced herself for the journey ahead, understanding the stakes of truth and connection. As their time together progressed, she realized the real challenge wasn't merely in the meeting, but in the reflection it ignited within. What new choices would unfold from her awakening? Would she emerge stronger, or would the shadows of doubt still cling to her? Determined to find out, she leaned into their dialogue, ready to confront whatever truths awaited her. In that moment, a question lingered ominously: would her desire for leadership catalyze genuine change, or plunge her deeper into uncertainty? The answer lay just beyond her grasp, and she was resolute in unearthing it. The conversation deepened, stretching beyond the initial topics. As the man unfolded his story, he wove in themes of resilience and regeneration, key elements that resonated deeply within Lily. His narrative was more than just a chronicle, it pulsed with the longing for redemption, both for himself and those he would soon help. Each anecdote he shared cracked open the facade of her own aspirations and vulnerabilities, and she found herself grappling with the shadows he inadvertently illuminated. "I think many people underestimate the power of a single act," he said, his gaze steady. "You don't realize it, but you've already begun a ripple effect in my life and countless others." His words lodged in her mind, echoing the urgency she felt to better the lives around her. Yet, they stirred a defensive instinct within her, as if she was suddenly exposed under a stark spotlight. Was she truly ready to shoulder such responsibility? Lily took a sip from her coffee, the warmth not quite reaching her chest. The hesitation she felt transformed into a question she grappled with silently: was she capable of being that beacon for others? "What if I don't have the answers?" she found herself whispering, an entanglement of doubt spilling forth. The very notion of being a role model instigated a panic that simmered beneath her vulnerability. Could she bear the weight of others' expectations? He leaned closer, his voice dropping as if he knew the urgency behind her inquiry. "Every leader is simply a reflection of their insecurities met with courage. You don't have to have all the answers. Your empathy, your willingness to connect, that's where true leadership begins." His response felt like both an affirmation and a challenge, compounding the layers of her internal conflict. The more she learned about him, the more she could sense he had tasted failure and success in equal measure. It was in that balance that their souls seemed to align, echoing a shared experience of almost losing sight of self amid the turbulence of life. They were both renegotiating their identities, searching for purpose amid self-doubt. "I see you're struggling," he continued, his expressive eyes piercing through her defenses. "But it's okay to confront those moments. It's how we're molded, isn't it? There it was, a truth adjusted to fit their conversation but echoing endlessly in the chambers of her past. Each word granted her a dose of strength, yet the vulnerability he invited her to explore felt like an abyss. What if delving deeper revealed scars her mind was too afraid to unearth? With renewed determination to unravel her potential, she took a steadying breath. You're right. I've been so preoccupied with being perfect that I've veiled my own truths. But how do I reconcile my ambitions with my fears? The question floated in the air, heavy with expectation. By embracing the uncertainty, he stated firmly. It won't be easy, but those moments of doubt can be your greatest teachers. It was the awakening she needed, and yet, as she welcomed this guidance, a pang of anxiety seeped in anew. What if his words were merely a crutch, a fleeting reassurance that wouldn't withstand the pressures of reality? Could she forge ahead, armed with the potential to impact lives, while grappling with her own tumultuous psyche? The cafe around them bubbled with life, yet she felt ensnared in a cocoon of contemplation. As their discussion ventured into strategies for advocacy and outreach, she felt both buoyed and burdened. The knowledge she was gaining seemed to call out to her awareness, amplifying her desire but shadowing it with anxiety over the risks involved. If she ventured further, what might she uncover about herself that could threaten her carefully structured life? Lily realized this was only the beginning of a journey that would unveil layers of her spirit, each ounce of fear countered by a flicker of hope. In that moment, she resolved to step boldly into this unknown. After their meeting concluded, she found herself standing outside, the chill of the evening air aggravating her thoughts. Doubts fluttered in her chest, a cacophony of what-ifs plaguing her resolve. She clutched her purse tightly, struggling to anchor herself in the reality of her emotions. The clarity she had found felt tantalizingly close yet shadowed by fear. As she walked away, the clamor of the cafe faded behind her. That pivotal conversation had opened a door, but the implications of stepping through weighed heavily on her. What transformations lay ahead if she followed through with this path? Was she truly ready to embrace the tangled interplay of joy and anguish that would surely ensue? With the evening growing darker around her, Lily steeled herself for the truth. If she wanted to genuinely lead, she would have to confront her fears head-on, one step at a time. The path forward felt neither secure nor defined, but in embracing the uncertain, she sensed the flicker of her own journey toward leadership just beginning to ignite. But just as she reached a corner, a question loomed larger than before. The true essence of her journey was only just unfolding. Would she have the courage to lead, and more importantly, would the revelations she chased solidify her resolve, or fracture the carefully maintained image she had cherished? The answer lingered, tantalizingly out of reach, waiting for her to chase it down. The streets were dim, lined with shadows that merged with the encroaching night. Lily's heart raced, half a beat out of sync with her resolve. Each step resonated with a rhythm that felt agonizingly familiar, self-doubt creeping in, whispering of inadequacy and the daunting expectations ahead. Yet, she pressed on, embracing the discomfort, determined not to let it anchor her down. Days turned into a whirlwind of mundane tasks and responsibilities. Lily found herself lost in the intricacies of her daily routine, each moment punctuated by flashes of insights from the man at the cafe. His voice echoed in her mind, challenging her to dissect the illusions of perfection she clung to. She recalled his emphasis on empathy, and it ignited something within her, a flicker of fervor she realized had long lain dormant beneath the layers of her self-imposed rigidity. Embrace uncertainty, she muttered to herself each morning as she faced her patients. The people in her care, they were struggling too. Their frailties mirrored her own. She began to see moments as opportunities, not merely challenges to surmount but connections to forge. It was startling to realize that in recognizing their fears, she could also expose and confront her own. The first test came unexpectedly. During a particularly hectic shift, an unfamiliar patient was wheeled in. He was an older man, pallid and weak, with a tremor that shook his every movement. As she assessed his condition, she learned that his name was Mr. Bennett, a retired entrepreneur facing debilitating health issues. Their conversations, at first hesitant, blossomed into discussions that reflected the vast spectrum of human experience, from regrets to aspirations. Lily felt compelled to elevate his spirits, coaxing out laughter from the frail man, but it was also in those moments of vulnerability that she began to understand the gravity of her influence. Mr. Bennett confided in her under the guise of their evolving friendship, "I've spent my life chasing success, but I've neglected the simple joys, the connections that make us human. His words struck a chord deep within her. She saw herself in his recounting, a relentless pursuit for validation in her professional realm, often sidelining the authentic moments that truly mattered. When Lily noticed the deflation in his spirit during particularly low days, she recognized her own patterns within his struggle. Would this man be just another chapter in her routine, or could she embrace the ripple her presence created? The balance of their relationship suddenly felt pivotal, not for Mr. Bennet alone, but for her. Her resolve sharpened. After a week of connection, she took a risk. Lily volunteered to help Mr. Bennet organize a small fundraising event in the hospital. She envisioned the chaos, the bustling motivation, enveloping them with purpose, perhaps even attracting other patients to engage and support one another. With each planning session, she felt herself unearthing enthusiasm and joy that had previously felt so far from reach, yet the trepidation loomed. As preparations unfolded, she caught herself hesitating. What if it fell flat? What if they couldn't get enough support? Those thoughts threatened to sabotage her burgeoning confidence. In those moments where doubt threatened to grip her, she remembered the man in the cafe, his belief in the power of empathy. She sought his affirmation again, focusing on authenticity rather than perfection. Gathering her courage, she finalized the details and rallied her colleagues and friends. There was no backing away now. Each day was a new lesson, forcing her to embrace the unpredictable. Fear was not an enemy but a guide pointing her toward growth. On the night of the event, the room filled with laughter and camaraderie. Watching patients engage with one another, she recognized the beauty of connection, a tapestry of lives woven together through the shared struggle. For all the anxiety she had felt beforehand, she now experienced profound joy rooted in authenticity. Then it struck her, she was transforming not only Mr. Bennet's outlook but her own, navigating through vulnerability, accepting uncertainty. As the night wound down, Mr. Bennet approached her, his eyes glistening with gratitude. "You didn't just change my circumstances, dear Lily. You reminded me of who I am. You've lit a flame that was nearly extinguished." His words set off a tremor of emotional warmth in her chest, but also another daunting reality. Was she truly equipped for the ripple she had set in motion? With new perspectives forming, she realized she'd have to confront the question that had been hovering all along: what came next? Could she sustain this momentum, or would she fall back into the shadows she so feared? The night air wrapped around her like an embrace, yet panic fluttered within. The challenge ahead loomed heavier than ever. It wasn't just about seizing her own growth, but also about continuing to support others through their journeys. Her next step beckoned, daunting but necessary. What if the truth she uncovered within herself illuminated the path for others even more? Would she have the courage to explore that uncharted territory, standing poised between self-discovery and the weight of expectation? With the echoes of laughter from the fundraising event fading into the night, Lily found herself wrestling with an unsettling cocktail of emotions. That fleeting moment of triumph unveiled a deeper question: how would she build upon this newfound momentum? Each step felt heavier now, the weight of expectation pressing harder with every passing moment. Back at work, the rhythm of her daily routine rushed by like water through her fingers. The familiar hallways, once comforting, mirrored the swirling uncertainty within her mind. Every interaction with colleagues and patients became a subtle inquiry into her evolving self. The feeling of inadequacy began to meld with excitement. She was keenly aware of her potential but terrified of the implications. In the first few days after the event, she noticed an undeniable shift in her approach. Every patient's story echoed Mr. Bennet's sentiment about connection, reminding her that her role extended beyond mere medical tasks. When she met a mother cradling her ill child, the silent desperation mirrored her own unvoiced fears. "What if I can't help them?" ran through her mind. The mother caught her gaze, and in that moment, Lily realized she wasn't just a caregiver, she was a bridge between human experiences. No more hiding behind sterile procedures, she had to be genuine, vulnerable even. Taking a deep breath, she crouched down, looked the mother in the eye, and asked about her own fears, her own challenges. The questions felt foreign yet liberating. Slowly, the small act of sharing stripped layers of professionalism that had acted as barriers. The two women met in silence, a silent understanding that filled the room. In their shared vulnerability, Lily not only offered comfort but also caught glimpses of her own reflections. Each patient was a mirror, revealing facets of her identity she had previously ignored, but the breakthrough didn't come without tension. Conversations turned to confrontations within her mind. The shadow of doubt whispered harsh criticisms. What if this humanity makes you less competent? Less reliable? It was a battle against her instincts to compartmentalize, to maintain a facade of perfection. Yet, the allure of authenticity was undeniable. Then, amidst the relentless swirl of daily tasks, Lily faced an unexpected turn. A patient in distress became the focal point of an emergency situation. As the alarms blared and doctors rushed, Lily took a deep breath, anchoring herself in the lessons learned. She moved with purpose, recalling Mr. Bennett's stories of the importance of connection. In the chaos, she found herself reaching out, reaching for hands. With each communication, reassurance became a lifeline, not only for the patient but for herself. The adrenaline pulsed in her veins as she navigated between urgency and empathy, guiding her team through the crisis. When the situation stabilized, exhausted but filled with adrenaline, she realized the profound impact of her choices. In that moment, she embodied more than just a nurse, she was a leader. A thought struck her: could this approach scale beyond this singular moment? As she left the hospital that evening, a curious thrill danced in her chest. She had taken a leap into the unknown, drawing upon her experiences while daring to redefine what her role could mean. The notion of being a catalyst for change exhilarated but terrified her. The questions continued to coil in her mind, haunted yet thrilling. What if she utilized her insights not just for her growth but to inspire others in their darkest moments? What if the vulnerability she displayed ignited a larger flame, a collective wave of healing? And as certainty wavered in the twilight, Lily stood on the precipice of an expansive journey. Would she find the courage to lead not only in moments of crisis but toward a continual exploration of intelligence that stemmed from emotional connection? The future felt unwritten, a tapestry waiting to be woven by her hands, but just then, a familiar voice broke through her thoughts. "Lily, can you stop for a moment?" It was Mr. Bennett, and as their paths intertwined once again, she sensed a new challenge unfolding, an invitation to face yet another question: what happened when vulnerability met opportunity? Lily turned to Mr. Bennett, the flicker of urgency in his eyes resonating with her own pulse of adrenaline. This was not merely a casual request, it felt like a summons. With the weight of her recent realizations still pressing on her chest, she wondered what profound lesson awaited her at this moment. "Can we talk in my office?" he asked, his voice steady yet tinged with a hint of anticipation. She nodded and followed him down the corridor, a hum of fluorescent lights heightening her awareness of her surroundings. Each footfall carried the echoes of her internal dialogue. How had she pushed herself into this new realm of empathy, and could it continue to define her path? Inside his office, Mr. Bennett gestured toward a chair, motioning for her to sit. The air felt charged, each second stretching into an eternity. He studied her for a moment, as if assessing the very fabric of her being. "Lily, I've been watching your growth, especially since the last emergency. Your approach with patience is something truly special." His praise sent a rush of warmth through her, yet that flicker of doubt lingered at the edges of her mind. "Thank you, but it's just a part of doing my job, right? To care for patients?" "No, it's more than that," he countered softly but firmly. "You're finding a way to connect on a deeper level. I believe this could be pivotal, not just for you, but for the entire team. With your new perspective, we could instill that same approach across departments." The idea surprised her, filling her with equal parts excitement and fear. "You really think that is possible? To change the culture around here?" "Yes," he affirmed, leaning slightly forward. "I want you to consider leading some workshops. Sharing what you've discovered about empathy in medicine, how it can shape not just our interactions with patients, but also transform the team dynamics. We need more of that here." Lily's breath caught in her throat. Leading a workshop? On a topic she herself was still unraveling? Could she really stand in front of her peers and speak to this intimate exploration of vulnerability? It was daunting. "What if I fail?" she blurted, the vulnerability she'd embraced with patience now directed inward. "What if I can't inspire them?" "Then you'll learn," he replied, unwavering. "But I have faith in your abilities. You are already inspiring others without even realizing it. Are you willing to accept this challenge?" For the first time, his gaze held not just authority but genuine belief in her potential. Lily sat in silence, grappling with the enormity of the opportunity laid before her. Teaching would necessitate a deeper mastery of her insights, pushing her to refine and articulate them. She envisioned standing before a group of her colleagues, a mix of seasoned professionals and fresh faces, sharing her journey into empathy with hearts and minds open, vulnerable yet strong. "I'll think about it," she finally managed, emotional weight still thick in her throat but mixed with a burgeoning sense of possibility. "Make it soon," Mr. Bennet encouraged with a nod. "The chance to extend your impact is waiting, Lily. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be willing." As she left his office, a cocktail of fear and exhilaration coursed through her. The walls of her reality were expanding, and with each passing moment, she saw fragments of herself reconfiguring into something more substantial. Would she take the leap into this yet uncharted territory? In the following days, realigning her focus became essential. Each moment in the hospital was no longer simply about fulfilling tasks, it was a critical opportunity for introspection and growth. Lily planned an outline for her potential workshop, the idea simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. But then came a sudden, unexpected turn. A crucial decision awaited her as a medical emergency unfolded. Could she truly embody the lessons of vulnerability under pressure, and could those same lessons inform the way she navigated crises when stakes were high? Lily knew the time had come to face a profound confrontation. Not just with herself but with the essence of what it meant to lead through authentic connection. The workshop lingered in her thoughts like a scattered puzzle. She held pieces of potential in her hands, but when would she find the courage to assemble them into a coherent picture? Days passed, each one a reshuffling of priorities and promises. The hospital buzzed around Lily as she dove into the whirlwind of her responsibilities and ambitions. Standing in the break room, a mix of anxiety and excitement coursed through her veins as she shared her plan for the workshop with Maria, who listened intently. "Are you kidding? This could change everything," Maria said, her eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "You've already impacted so many lives. Just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real." Those simple words sparked a light inside Lily. She was ready. But that readiness quickly danced with uncertainty, the relentless specter of self-doubt creeping in. Was she truly qualified to teach others? What if they didn't connect with her message? However, deep down, she understood this was the critical moment for her growth. Each conversation with her patients had revealed boundless depths to her experience. Now was her chance to harness that insight and lead. Setting a date for the workshop solidified her commitment, transforming her internal narrative. The fear was still there, lurking, but it now mingled with determination. She meticulously planned her sessions, intertwining her personal experiences and those of her patients. Lessons from Mr. Bennett's journey echoed in her mind, a guiding touchstone. Every outline she crafted felt like a testimony to a transformative journey. As the day approached, an unexpected opportunity arose. A patient whom Lily frequently cared for, Mrs. Jenkins, was regaining strength after a long battle with illness. The moment felt serendipitous. Mrs. Jenkins' unwavering spirit was the living embodiment of resilience, a perfect addition to Lily's workshop narrative. "Mrs. Jenkins, would you be willing to share your story?" Lily asked, her heart racing at the thought of bringing their interactions full circle. "You inspire so many of us, and I think it would resonate with others in my workshop." "A story? Oh, honey. What a gift. I'd love to, dear." The enthusiasm in Mrs. Jenkins' voice radiated warmth, and for the first time, Lily felt a profound connection to the impact she could have on others through sharing. Not just the act of giving care, but the act of weaving together the narratives that shaped their experiences. The workshop day dawned, bright and hopeful, yet anxiety tugged at her resolve. She walked into the conference room, a space that had always felt utilitarian now transformed into a gathering point for growth and connection. Colleagues shuffled in, their hushed conversations buzzing in the air, a palpable mixture of excitement and apprehension. As she stood before her audience, Lily took a deep breath layered with the strength of her network of care, the patients, the families, the experiences that had been bestowed upon her. She began to speak, weaving together personal narratives of vulnerability and resilience, embodying a message of compassion and connection. The room became alive, faces drawn in focus, nodding in understanding. "Empathy is not just a skill we develop, it is a doorway to profound connections," she said, each word affirming her purpose. "In caring for others, we must first allow ourselves to feel, to be vulnerable. This isn't weakness, it is a strength driving us to foster healing. As she shared Mrs. Jenkins' story, the room filled with emotion. The stories were interlaced like threads in a vast tapestry, each one solidifying her conviction this was the essence of nursing, of leadership. As the workshop unfolded, she felt a shift, a tide of empowerment and validation enveloping them all. Afterward, the discussions continued, her colleagues engaging in their shared vulnerabilities. One by one, they opened up, recognizing their own struggles and aspirations, igniting inspiring dialogues that resonated deeply. Lilia's heart soared, a symbiotic energy thrumming among the room, a nexus of strength birthed from their collective need for authenticity and connection. Days turned into weeks, and the ripples of Lily's workshop flowed through the hospital corridors. She was approached time and again by colleagues eager to share their own stories and experiences. Recognition blossomed not only for her efforts but for the collective potential they now harnessed together. For the first time, she felt aligned with a purpose far beyond herself, an authentic leader weaving together narratives of hope and resilience. One afternoon, Mr. Bennett found her during a break, his smile beaming. "You've sparked something big here, Lily. I can feel it. It's contagious. You're not just healing patients anymore, you're shifting mindsets." Lily felt the rush of affirmation surge within her, entwining gratitude with pride. It was no longer just the fear of inadequacy that accompanied her. She had unshackled herself from those insecurities, eclipsing them with a clearer understanding of her capabilities and mission. In a moment of true clarity, she stepped back to reflect on her journey. Lily had not only achieved professional growth, she had forged a new identity as a leader, marked by authenticity and connection. The whispers of self-doubt transformed into roars of confidence and purpose, guiding her to chart a course for the future of nursing even amid challenges. What came next was not merely a job, but a vocation rooted in the interconnectedness of experience and knowledge, a commitment to forge pathways of healing that began with her own transformation. She had emerged from the shadows of uncertainty, no longer simply a nurse but a changemaker who would continue to lead with empathy. Emboldened by the journey she had undertaken, it was not just about her new role but about the people she would touch henceforth. It was a commitment to navigate ahead with unwavering resolve, knowing the essence of true leadership stemmed from the heart. Now is the time for her to shine. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.